Hello, Abigail here with the Tarotscopes for Virgo season, Pisces sun, moon, and rising. All right, my Pisces, this season is deeply impactful for you because it is eclipse season and you are the other side of Virgo. So we're having a major eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces on September 7th. On September 7th. Sorry, guys, the post Mercury retrograde shadows got me. And so this is really impactful. You can watch the video link below if you want to know more about the astrology of Virgo season, but we are going to focus on the cards. But know that this is big time season for you as well. It always is because there's always a Pisces lunation happening in the season of Virgo, but it's especially tenuous considering, where we are eclipse wise. So starting off, Seven of Pentacles, not a huge surprise. This is the continuation of a work that you've already started. This makes a whole lot of sense when you understand that the eclipses have happened twice before. We had the eclipse back in September of last year. I want to say it was the 17th. Yeah, 17th of September last year. And then we had the other eclipse, which I can't quite remember the date, but it was sometime in February of this year. So there is an ongoing current. I always encourage people, even if you don't know a whole lot about how to read a chart, I encourage you to go look up the dates of the eclipses and what was happening around that time. Something I find really helpful. If you can't really remember, go to your camera roll and see if that brings back some of the energy of that time to help you kind of understand and work with the energy with that information in mind. So yeah, we have something that we're continuing on. There's a extended labor and effort. Doesn't feel A lot of the readings don't feel super eclipses, but I think a lot of it is because there are eclipses in Virgo, and the Pisces eclipse is a little more cosmic to me, but the Virgo eclipse involves this very Virgo working towards something, dealing with the nitty gritty and the day to day energy that we kind of get to experience. The magic of the mundane is the area that Virgo handles. And then, which I find interesting because we have this kind of like continued work effort card, then we have a nice little Ace of Wands. So while this is obviously something continued, something new and fresh is also being born in this moment, a spark of something moving us forward. It's also important to note that Neptune, not quite yet, but Neptune and Saturn are retrograde and they're headed back our way. And Saturn will be in Pisces by the time we get to the final Virgo eclipse. And well, actually, by the time we get to the Pisces eclipse, but it won't be as close. By the time we're at the Virgo eclipse at 29 degrees on the very last day of Virgo season, we will have a 28 degrees oppositional Saturn. So that's really, I think, especially kind of now that I'm thinking of it, that's also very much this card, the Saturn in Pisces, the last 2-ish years that we have been with Saturn in Pisces. We are coming back to that as work. And then this new sparkly thing here is, Saturn's ingress into Aries, and Uranus's ingress into Gemini, and Neptune's ingress into Aries. And the fact that Pluto officially is now in Aquarius for, well, till 2043. So there's so much new energy shifts and changes. And I think it's important to note that this is just a lot. This year is just a lot. This energetic moment is just a lot. But there is something new and fresh and lovely coming your way. And even while you're doing the labor of Saturn and the labor of these eclipses, know that new things are coming, that there is a freshening and a quickening of the energy. Now, maybe it doesn't solidify until we're fully into kind of these set transits where they get into that sign fully, which will happen. I think the last one, I think Uranus goes into Gemini for the final time in April of 2026. But know that we're heading towards that, and we're heading towards a little bit more stability in our transits. Still not easy, but definitely not constantly changing. Um, so I think what's kind of key for you here, which is something you're also very good at, is holding multitudes, to be able to hold the continued work and effort, and also hold the ability and the possibility of things being new and fresh and having this spark of hope in life come into this kind of laborious moment. And then we have our one major arcana card in this set, Judgments. One of my faves. I especially love this card with the cicada rising from its little quispy shell. Um, Judgment to me, especially in this deck, and well, honestly, most of my decks, Judgment really speaks to cosmic cycles and patterns. It's about past life work. It's about having to rectify and realign ourselves. And it also speaks of the soul's journey. And, something that I layer into my soul's journey is this idea of cultivating things for the next life. Now, I don't believe in being like, I'm only preparing for my next soul iteration and then I abandon myself in this lifetime. But there are some works that I'm just not going to finish this time around. And so I want to push them ahead so that the next time my soul reincarnates, they can pick up that little package and keep running with it. And maybe it's a little bit easier. Maybe we've gotten a little bit further. And it feels very much like there's something in this season for you that you need to untangle and unravel. Maybe karmic remediation is something that you need to look into this eclipse cycle. Um, I'm looking forward to doing that for some of my clients. So definitely just, even if you just start to ask yourself, what patterns and cycles seem a bit larger than life? What patterns and cycles feel familiar and yet new in this lifetime? Where I'm like, where have I seen this before? And there's no physical tie to this current iteration of myself. That's kind of how you start to suss out past life themes and patterns and things like that. And then we have this gorgeous Mother of Cups. It's very Piscean. Embrace everything that is within you. A lot of times there's such a focus on fixing the self. Um, it also feels, with kind of the rise of self-care versus self-help, feels like just kind of like an iteration of something new. There was like self-help was really big in the 90s and early 2000s, and self-care has become really big in, the 2000 teens and the 2020s. And I wonder what would happen if we just let the self be. Doesn't mean you can't change and grow, but what would happen if you embraced who you are and the little quirks that you have and the ways that some people find you annoying, and just were okay with that and allowed yourself to be everything that you are? Yeah, there's some things we'd like to change. We don't want to, some of us do need to work on like not saying hurtful things or, managing stress so that we don't lash out and that we just kind of treat it as like a frenetic energy rather than needing to find someone to make feel bad too. But what if this eclipse season you just kind of toyed with the idea of just being and just letting yourself be and not trying to change or fix anything and allowing the universe to refill your cup? And, I know it's funny because I'm kind of leading this after a past life thing where we're like, we got stuff to do. But you can let yourself be and still be on a grand soul journey where you're changing and shifting things without nitpicking the soul. Kind of what I'm getting at. I do think with our final card, we have the Six of Cups, which very much feels tied to this Mother of Cups. Ask yourself if you do have kind of a tendency to nitpick or to like feel a need to be different than who you are, ask yourself who told you that. Because usually there's an answer in the past. There is a voice or a person or a time of our life where we were told that we weren't good enough as we are or we need to change. I, as a ex-indoctrinated evangelical child, was told that I had original sin and that I was always evil and that all of my thoughts were being kind of surveilled by God, which I think is a lot of the reason we have surveillance culture is so prevalent and accepted today, is that we're being surveilled by this cosmic being who our parents also have access to, and all of our thoughts have weight and value and to make us a good or a bad person. That's my kind of experience with being told that I'm not good enough. And then on top of that, they layered the typical parental abuse of people who don't love themselves or actually like themselves. So go back, find out where these stories have come from, find out where you were told you weren't enough, find the moments where you still feel like you failed, and maybe do some healing. Maybe give your soul a little love and a little grace. Recognize the entirety of that picture and not just you as someone who has failed or someone who is not enough. Because most Pisces, in fact, all Pisces I know, and all signs that I know, and all people that I know are more than enough. It is just about unpacking the ways in which we have been taught that we are not in order to make us unstable and disconnected from our soul and unable to do the work, because people who don't like doing the work always make it hard for everyone else to do the work. Anyways, my loves, that is my message for this season. Let you be you and continue the work while also leaving space for some really beautiful, lovely new things. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. You can also ask me any questions in the comments, or you can pop me a DM. But blessed Virgo season, and I'll see you in a different space and time.